Hello to you all, and good afternoon on a Sunday afternoon here. Well, to speak about karma and past life reincarnation goes back in Kabbalah for 4,000 years, and we would like to understand a bit of this incredible, deep, mysterious, and mystical topic that goes back so many decades and centuries. And the answer is that when we look at normal karma, I want to share with you a story of the Holy Baal Shem Tov and his students some 250 years ago, 300 years ago, where they really wanted to understand how does it work. And so let's jump into the deep end. He takes them behind a certain hill, somewhere in the forest, and they're waiting. What are we waiting for? Shh, you're going to quickly see soon. And soon enough, comes by a man, sits there, has his lunch, and when he goes away, excuse me, forgets behind a whole package full of money. And when this young man goes away, another person comes, takes away the money, and disappears. A third man comes, sits down, and has his meal. Doesn't know anything what happened before, not about the money, not about taking the money. Doesn't know anything about this. And as he sits around to have his lunch, the man that the money was taken and stolen from comes back and he says, "Give me back my money." He says, "I don't know anything about your money, sir. I just came by. You can check my bags. I'm also honest. I swear I never touched your money." So he's relating to him and saying, "You took my money and I'm counting till 10. If 10 will come and you didn't give me back my money because the only one around here is you, and this is a place where not many people come, I'm going to shoot you dead. 1, 2, 3." And so when it comes to 10, yes, he shoots that man and he kills him. And the students of the Holy Baal Shem Tov sit by and they are shocked because this man really didn't take anything. And after this person is gone, without his money, and the person who never took his money, he's dead on the ground, that's the Holy Baal Shem Tov. You knew that all this is going to happen before. How can you explain this to us, whatever took place over here now? And the Holy Baal Shem Tov says, well, we have to understand karma. This story doesn't start now. This story starts some few hundred years back when that man that was stolen the money from actually gave false evidence against the man that the money was stolen from. And so he made him lose the money in a court of law because he lied in his evidence. Comes by the person that was stolen the money from and takes away the money from the person who stole it, and we are square. And that person who falsified all the truth in the trial, is, according to the judgment in those days and age, he is supposed to be killed. He's accountable, and therefore that same man killed him. So we see a judgment of 3 people that seem to be very, very innocent. Even the person that took the money doesn't realize that it's got owners because there was nobody there. And so everything comes back together after a few hundred years. To summarize, the person that was stolen from the money, he's the one who stole that money a few centuries back. The person who took the money is the person that was stolen from. And the person that was killed is the very same person that gave false evidence against the same person that was the actual person that the money was stolen from. So only a few hundred years later is the Holy Baal Shem Tov able to show us how karma comes about. So karma applies in such a way that it's a very deep rule of Kabbalah which plays against us or plays for us depending on our actions. And if you look carefully towards the end of the 10 Commandments, it says that God pays those that are evil, and he pays 2,000-fold to those that are righteous, meaning that if he pays for 4 generations to those that are evil through the karma, he pays for those that are righteous for 2,000 generations, meaning that a good measure from God's perspective is better 500 times than a bad measure against the karma. But what we learn from all this is that you create your own karma. Many people ask me, sometimes people die before their time, and so many people ask me, well, maybe God is not good. What does he want against me? Maybe this world is not fair, not justified. And the true answer is no. The true answer is that you bring your own judgment on yourself. Yes, we don't remember what we've done in a previous lifetime. Yes, we don't remember what we've done in childhood. Yes, we don't pay attention when we're negligent and we hurt other people. But God is there with His laws, not because He wants to punish us, because we bring it on ourselves with our own spiritual laws upon ourselves. The same way when we can do something good. So I will ask you the following question about the following story. A certain spiritual mentor sits in his home downstairs, and his wife comes to visit his office where he sits alone, his study room, and he asked her, "Would you mind bringing me a cup of tea?" Absolutely. She goes upstairs to make for him a cup of tea and bring him some cookies as well. Just before that happened, their only daughter, who's very pretty, who's got very good attributes, she's dating. When she decides on somebody, well, she rejected many kind of young guys because they didn't speak her language. But when the right guy came along with wonderful attributes and he spoke to her heart and they resonated, she decided this is going to be my groom to be. This is my soulmate. There was only one problem. He was limping on his left foot. The mother says, nothing doing. I need a perfect person to marry off my only daughter. I'm not going to in any way allow this limping person to be my daughter's future hubby. A few weeks pass by. The same lady, who's a very rich lady, goes upstairs, makes her husband a cup of tea, cookies, puts it on a tray, and as she dashes down the stairs, she falls and she breaks her left foot, and she's really limping and she needs to go to hospital. Well, anyone that would see it will obviously say that this is karma. But when it comes to that lady, she says from a sick bed in hospital to her husband, my lesson from all this that I'm never, ever going to make tea for you ever again. Well, how blind can you be to your own karma? She brought upon herself the karma, being blind to her daughter's feelings, and taking into consideration this materialistic world where the guy is limping on his left foot, but he's completely perfect otherwise. What's better? To limp on your left foot and be perfect, or to be completely perfect body-wise, but completely crippled when it comes to your spirit? And so I had one young girl in one of my lectures overseas, and she said the whole lecture to quite a few hundred students and covered her face. I saw it from time to time, but I didn't pay attention to this. And after the lecture that was speaking about different kind of attributes, she came to me and took off her hand, and a huge scar was cutting right across her face. And she said to me, well, I'm never going to get married. Whatever you spoke about, thank you so much, but I can't be accountable. I can't stand up to any kind of wrath because look at my face, it's all scarred. So I had an inkling at the same time, and I had lots of compassion, and I told her, look, most of us have the same scars inside, and we're crippled. You must have worked so hard at your attributes, at your inner beauty, and so whoever would really love you for who you are will never see this outside scar, which can always be, plastered with some kind of mascara, but the inside beauty shines off. So we bring upon ourselves our own karma. For good or for bad, we bring our own karma upon ourselves, right? And so the question is, how can we stop that and how can we change that? And the answer is start today. I can be a friend of myself today. I can't fix the yesterday and go back to the yesterday. Yes, I can go back to past life regression, which I sadly do to many people. But the whole point of it is I am living in the here and now. I don't know about tomorrow. I can only imagine. I can only imagination. I can only prepare. I can be my best friend today and rectify, tikkun, for whatever I've done in my past, and definitely rectify and prepare for whatever I want to do in the future. And that's the only thing I have is today. I'm living in the here and now and in the present. That's why the name of God, Yudke Vavke, means He was, He is, and He will be. He's always with you because He's above time and limitations. If you are ready to live in the here and now, rectify whatever you feel and you think that is wrong with you today. And definitely try to prepare and rechannel and rewire yourself for tomorrow, that tomorrow will be a better day. If you don't forgive yourself about what happened, then you're always going to be a very bitter person. If you're going to take to heart too much other people and be very sensitive about it, the only one that will be hurt from your vengeance, from your begrudging, from your sensitivity, from your anger is only yourself. You're not doing anyone any favor when it comes to this. One of my patients came to me a few months back, was a young man with a very nice second degree to himself, a very nice future career standing for him. And he came to me with a pistol down his throat trying to suicide because his girlfriend, who promised him to get married to him, left him for somebody else. And while he was really being miserable and wanted her so much back, and I called that girlfriend as well. She was already camping far in a different state with a different boyfriend that she has, and she couldn't care less. The only one that was suffering was him. So, what is his lesson? Well, again, we cannot force anyone to be in a relationship with us. Sometimes people make choices and we think it's the worst kind of choices, but we must know that God is good, and every choice that is being made, it's for our very, very best. Sometimes we mess up things and we corrupt and we compromise our own destiny by destroying and corrupting and compromising our own future by actions that we do today. And that should be stopped by us. But if somebody leaves our life, a friend, a girlfriend, a spouse, whoever it is, a close relative, and by virtue of them choosing something else, we must know that there is nothing in this world that is not operating by God. In other words, it's not me, you, and God. There's only God. Anything that we see in this world is in His operation. We're all puppets on the string. We're all marionettes. So, however, He uses people's nature, which is coined into them. In Hebrew, the word teva, nature, human nature, comes from the word matbea, a coin. It's coined into you. If I see somebody's nature and they flip-flop, and they're these kind of people that I cannot trust, they're never going to change. So most of us run after love that we cannot have. We wish for things that we can never have when it comes to the four areas of our lives: career, love and relationship, health, and spirituality, which can in simple terms be defined as growth, development, and contribution to others and to ourselves. And so when we wish for things we cannot have, many times they're out of our reach. When we pursue things which are not ours, they haunt us. Look with new eyes at the Ten Commandments. What do the Ten Commandments say? They say, don't covet, don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat, don't kill, do not use God's name in vain. All of these come from the one attribute of a person being a taker. When we take, we don't see, we become blind, we become self-centered, and therefore we can kill, we can steal, we can covet, we can take other people's possessions, or even wife or other things that belong to them, because we don't see anymore. The greatest thing we can do a favor to ourselves is we can change ourselves. So if we can, through many, many actions, as the duties of the heart of Rabbeinu Bechai say, after our actions are drawn the hearts, we can change our actions. And repeatedly, by doing them again and again, we can change. We can change. I don't want somebody to be in a relationship with me because I'm too much appeasing them, because I'm forcing myself after them, because I'm pursuing their love. No. I need to be me. I don't want to imitate and become a chameleon and act as if I'm somebody else for somebody else to love me. No, I need to be me. Being you is the biggest, unique, special gift that God has gifted you. And there's a very good you inside who you are. Oh yes, it's true that all of us have got an evil inclination inside us, the Yetzer Hara, or the Sitra Achra, as we call it in Kabbalah. The inner demons, if you'd like to call this in English. And yes, we have to counteract, we have to fight that. But this is the other side of our coin. So we have a spectrum within ourselves. As the Vilna Gaon says, the lower spectrum is that attribute, that bad habit, which draws us down to wherever we don't want to go down the rabbit hole. And believe me, it goes much deeper than you think. Once a person reaches the bottom, they can even go deeper. There will always be some kind of a leakage which can still take a person even further down. The other part is the higher part, the asetov, the higher part which we get drawn after our aspirations. And we should spend more time, at least 2 hours a day, says the Chofetz Chaim. At least 2 hours a day we should spend delving in Torah, spending time with the written law or the oral law or Kabbalah or the Zohar or Midrashim or all kind of ethics and Musa, as we call it in the Hebrew, because only these can cure our soul. Only this can be a remedy against the evil inclination. Barati Yetzirah, I've created the evil inclination. The only thing I've created to be a rectification remedy for this, Barati Torah Tavlin. The only medicine is learning Torah. There's nothing else. Activating and engaging in mitzvot, in commandments. If we see the word mitzvah, it's actually a dress up. We know the name of God is Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey. The last 2 letters of mitzvah commandment Hebrew is anyhow Vav and Hey, the last 2 letters of God's name. The first 2 letters, we need the code. We need the secret code, the Kabbalistic code. That code is called Atbash, which means we take the first letter in the Aleph Beit, in the Hebrew Aleph, we swap it with the last one, Taf. We take the second one, which is Beit, we swap it with the second one from the end, the Shin. And so if we do that, mitzvah, a commandment, in the Hebrew, comes to be Yud Kei Vav Kei. The last 2 letters we leave, and the first 2 letters, the Mem, we swap with the Yud, and the Tzadi we swap with the Hey. It's 10th letter from the beginning and the end, the 5th letter from the beginning and end, and so a mitzvah is really a dress up. It's our connection, it's our ability to create a living image of God inside us. So, to summarize, if you meet bad karma, if you in your life are addressing some adversity which you cannot counteract, and you find yourself in this situation, well, the only thing we can do is our reaction. And we need to go inwardly. We need to contemplate, have an observation, hitbodedut, as Baal Shem Tov says. Sit yourself and think, why am I deserving this? Not to guilt, shame, blame someone else. Yes, there can be guilty parties. Sometimes God brings about evil with evil doers, with evil people. For example, the Holocaust, well, that was brought up for a very, very vicious wild animal that doesn't deserve the title to be called a man, that had behind him many, many soldiers that behaved in such a way. And we see the uprising today in the States of the same students, unbelievable, 70 years after, that no normal, human, Western, modern society will allow such things to happen on its own ground in the 21st century. And we see today the uprising that we've seen exactly 5-7 years before the Holocaust started. So whoever is wise will see the karma and will ask, why is history repeating himself? So Rav Shimshon Pinker Zatzal has said that every 60-70 years there's been a program, there's been a Holocaust somewhere around the world. The reason is very simple, because we get very comfortable. We get used to the way of life. We get ingrained and settle where we are, and we forget our own roots. We forget to devote time to spirituality, to Torah, to elevation, to God's service, to prayer, to human relationship. We forget that the COVID is back again as an Omicron. We forget about social distancing, meaning there's so much intermingling, there's so much impurity, there's so much defilement, there's so much gossip, there's so much. And when we come to the fact that we cannot smell anymore, this shows Kabbalistically that our actions, our behavior are such that they don't give the best order. Wherever we look in the Bible, we find, for example, when Isaac is giving a bracha, a blessing to his son Jacob, not knowing it's Jacob, thinking that it's Esau, he says, Reach bni, the smell of my child, like the smell of heaven, of Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. Anywhere the Bible says good smell, allegorically, Kabbalistically, it's referring to good deeds. If our actions are such that we flirtatious, that we defile ourselves, that we corrupt on actions, this is the result worldwide. And God is being very compassionate and revealing to us. But we have to take action. And if we see again uprise of neo-Nazism, United States of America, in Brazil, in many other parts of the world, and so much anti-Semitism anywhere around it. We've got a huge nation like Persia wanting to annihilate us, the Hamas, Daesh, everywhere you look, 70 wolves going haunting one little sheep, then we really seriously know that we must rectify actions. And as the Tunisian king wisely said 35 years ago, leave us alone. I'm especially saying it in a code way that whoever needs to understand, understand. Whoever doesn't will not understand. Leave these people alone. They will kill each other out of their own animosity and hatred and baseless hatred. But give them wars, they will unite. And so we don't want to come to wars. We don't want to come to a second Holocaust. But all the signs are there that we are towards the end of Yemot Mashiach. We are just at the end before redemption. All the signs are there. If you open the Talmud in tractate Sotah 49b, you'll see all the signs are already there. They've been there already for the last 20 years or so. And the last thing we have now today in our generation is chutzpah, which means we've got great audacity. Great audacity of people, great audacity of the evil inclination, and of ourselves when we allow that to rule us. We cross all borders. We don't have border lines. And again, I'm speaking about myself and only to myself. I'm too humble to give any kind of criticism to anyone else, but I'm speaking on myself and to myself, hoping to find a listening ear out there that we can take and change reality. Noah changed reality. Abraham changed reality. Isaac, Jacob, they changed reality. They didn't have to have many, many followers. They just had to do the right thing for themselves and create a ripple effect. So my great-grandfather, Rebbe Meir Baal HaNes, was famous for his miracles. He's known for his statement that when you change your action, when you pull yourself together, when you stop going the whole day and the whole night, Instagram, TikTok, FaceTime, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Twitter, and all the rest. And instead of this, burying your head inside some holiness, in some Torah, in some kind of valuable book, and changing your attributes from being self-centered to selfless, from full of egoism to egoless, from thinking about others, and that's what we should do, from being more kind to people in your home, to your wife, to your kids, to others, seeing and being sensitive to others, respecting other people, other ways of life, and not in what you see for yourself, then you know that you are actually that person that can make a difference. So I don't have to change the whole world. What I only have to do is sit with myself and change myself. And this is really karma. And so we look at the life of the Chafetz Chaim when he was very, very young. Well, I was born ginger, and I guess when I'll come to my last date, 120, please God, I'll always be ginger. So I'll always be this kind of Nevisa, of this prophet that's not the prophet, but the person that's always liked to speak about ethics. But he tried to give ethics to anyone around him, but he went to all far towns in Russia to give his kind of drasha, to give his kind of huge pathos and sermons and masses. Nevertheless, nobody wanted to listen. He came back to his own town. People in his own town didn't want to listen. His wife and children didn't want to listen. So he closed himself in his own room and sat there for many years and slaved away and worked at himself. When he was able to change himself, his wife and children said, I don't know about his genius. I don't know that he sits around a huge table and 36 books are open at every given moment before he writes one psak halacha, one halachic verdict. I don't know about it and I don't care about it. What do I have from this? I know how he behaves at home. I know what kind of a mensch, of a human being, a gentleman he really is, what kind of a sensitive, wonderful, beautiful soul that I'm privileged to live with he is. And then he was able to change the karma of himself, of his household, of his entire town, and eventually of the entire world. And some great Kabbalists said that he was that sought with an S, sought after Elijah the prophet, that we're waiting for his voice to announce the coming of Messiah. Straight after he passed away came the second World War and the Holocaust, 6 million Jews. And we do know that the last war of Armageddon, of Gog Magog, is going to be, the Chofetz Chaim said in prophecy, it's not going to be just using tanks and cannons and shoot guns, but it's going to definitely be one that will be a war between the good and the evil. And the Vilna Gaon prophesied 250 years ago, when we see the Russians starting to come down towards the Balkans, in Turkey and in Greece, then you can take out your clothes of Mashiach, of Messiah, because this has arrived your time. So when we see world events up there between Russia and Ukraine, it's got nothing to do with me and my karma. No, it's got everything to do. It means that you're doing something good. So we should check ourselves if it's something good and we're contributing to the total effect on this globe of changing reality. And if you can't, pull yourself up and ask God for help. Use your mouth for prayer. Use your hands to do good actions. Use your mind and your eyes to see goodness and be sensitive to other people where they are in need. And then you can change your karma, and then you can affect and resonate, create a ripple effect with the entire world. I'm seeing that if you have any questions down there, you can write it into the comments. And if we not, I think we have only started to touch at the very crust of this iceberg called karma and past life regressions. I started with the Holy Baal Shem Tov story, all about that. And you write your own life. And if I look at any kind of book that I might have over here, this kind of book you might have been writing all the way up to, and you don't like what's written there. All you have to do is turn the leaf and then say, well, it's all empty till the end of the book. You know why it's empty? Because you are writing it. You are able to rewrite it right now if you decide. Stop addictions, stop gossip, stop bad behavior, stop bad habits. Who cares what is the household you came from? Al Ken Yazov, you should leave the household that you came from, and you are able to make your own habits. I'm not changed, I'm not prisoned into my own habits. You can see the book about this of Dr. Edith Eger, who is a Holocaust survivor some 50 years ago. She's 95 today. And she said, as a doctor of psychology today, it took me over 40 years, she writes, to get out of my own prison camp of my own self, in my own mind. So she really suffered on her own because she was a prisoner of her own self. All it takes is open the door, get out of your own karma, change your actions, change your thoughts, change your behavior, because Adam in Hebrew is the initials of Ulpan, which is your thoughts, Dibur, your speech, and concerning also your feelings, and Maaseh, and your actions. When you change these three, you can call it CBT, you can call it whatever you want, you can definitely change your karma. God bless you all, and we will see you soon. Whoever wants, you can come and join into my YouTube. There's over 1,000 YouTubes over there. And you can read about it in Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, wherever you'd like. And I thank you very much for coming, all the new friends, and God bless you all. Shavua Tov.